Greetings and welcome to the Pampering Myself podcast, an advocacy for self-care. We'll laugh, we'll cry, and most importantly, we'll learn that you can't pour from an empty cup. You'll hear stories, interviews, and conversations which will empower you in living your best life. Greetings and welcome to another episode of Pampering Myself. My name is Pam Jones, aka Jonesy. And as we approach the holiday season, we recognize it may be a difficult time for some, especially those grieving the loss of loved ones. The gathering of friends and family only emphasize their absence. My guests today, Colette and her sister Gloria, are here to share their experiences and most importantly, how they got through a certain time of the year, like birthdays, holidays, and perhaps the day of transition. It is my prayer if you or someone you know is having a difficult time coping with the holidays due to the loss of a loved one, their stories inspire you to see things differently. Welcome to Pampering Myself, ladies, and thank you for sharing your stories.
You're welcome. You're welcome. We're excited to be here.
Right. Great. Now, Colette has also shared some wonderful memories about her mother in a book soon to be released titled Sharing Our Stories for His Glory. So I have a little bit of insight on your family and how your mother's celebration of life began. But before we dive into that topic, let's talk a little bit about your mom in life. Who was her favorite child?
Okay, well, I will start off. Her favorite child was my oldest brother, Jerry, my sister, Barbara, my brother, Calvin, my brother...
I'm after Calvin.
My sister, Gloria. Then my brother, Walter, my brother, Melvin. Then 6 years later, she had me. And then her other favorite son was Jeffrey and my youngest brother, James. So she had 9 favorites.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so 9 favorites.
Unconditional.
Yep,
Okay,
9 favorites.
that is
and,
nice.
Yeah,
and that's the way it should be.
Yeah, so she didn't treat us any type of way different. Now, if she, I guess, sensed something, that something was
One
going
needed
on with,
more.
one needed more attention,
right.
but the others didn't know.
Right.
So she didn't treat us any type of way different. I can't say that about my father, but my mother, she didn't treat us any type of way different.
Right.
That must have been, and that's kind of the way it should be.
Mm-hmm.
You do hear people saying that, they have a favorite, and one say they know they're the favorite because they get treated. But that was the way I believe it should be, that whoever needs the most attention at that time.
Right.
Now, I came from a family of 4, and back in the day, that was really a large family. I can only imagine growing up in a house with 9 siblings.
Yeah, but we didn't all grow up at the same time.
Yeah,
it was
she
a
had
6-year.
2 sets.
Yeah, so it's like 2 sets. She had 6 first.
Okay.
Yeah.
We both had the same mother and father. She had 6 children first.
And 3.
Then 6 years later, she had 3 more. The doctors that told her don't have any more children.
She had 3 more.
Then she had 3 more.
Wow, 3 more. Okay. So, I often wonder, being 4 of us, and back then you didn't have to have seat belts. So we all scrunched in the, back of the car, 3 in the back, and,
Station wagon.
3 in the front. So you all had a station wagon.
Yeah, there was a station wagon.
Okay. And I would imagine then you were able to all pile in that car because, again, you didn't have to have seat belts.
That's right.
Right.
I guess we
then.
were at each other's seatbelt.
Yeah.
Hold this person.
Yeah.
Hold this person.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah, so I often wonder
so
how
that's why.
families that large would travel, because it would require either a van and
And we had to go all the way down south every year. Crowded car.
Oh, wow.
Now
Okay.
that there, I was disconnected. I mean, come on, you're not going across the street. You're talking about some days because they had everything.
That is a long ride.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
Nightmare.
Gloria, what is the fondest memory of your mother?
She was crazy. like silly crazy.
Right.
And the fondest memory is when I used to like spend the night over. We talk all night and laugh all night about everything, everybody's business. And then morning come, we just so tired and sleepy. we should have been asleep, And she would like, if she wanted to say something to us, we didn't have the cell phone, so she would write a note and pass it to somebody so they could pass the note. And I know something funny was coming, so when the note got to me, I didn't really have to read it,
Okay.
So she would always look at you a certain way with those eyes. And my sister is the same way because she have a cell phone. And when I hear a text message coming through, I know something is going on. So I start laughing immediately, So that was always fun,
Okay. That
Always.
sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Always a hee ha ha. So when I think about her now, it's not sad. I'm laughing, always laughing when I think about her. There's never a cry come. It's
That's
always,
good.
Mama, you is still crazy. You still running things, like that.
Colette?
Well, my fondest memory is when we would all get together, going like for family events. And my brother Melvin, after my father passed, my brother Melvin had took over and started having events at his house, and everybody would go over. But she was the person that would just sit back and observe.
Yeah.
And watch everybody and watch everything that everybody was doing. She wasn't a drama person, and she would just sit back and just
Be cool.
Yeah, she would just sit back and watch and see what was
And
going
laugh.
on and laugh. And then later on, maybe once we got home, she would like talk about certain things that went on. But she was just quiet.
She would not
and
start
she
it
would
right
just
then.
observe.
Yeah.
She would just observe everything. She was real observant, and
Yeah.
that's my fond memory of her.
Yeah.
Okay. So if somebody did something she didn't like and she observed that, would she get to them individually?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
Well, come
pull
here.
it.
I want to talk to you about
Yeah.
something. Yeah, I got something to talk to you about. Come here so we can, like, talk about this.
Pull
Yeah.
the chair up.
Yep.
Right.
And then, when you get off from work or when you get back from school, I got something to talk to you, and so you're worried the whole
All
time
day.
because she
That's
has
what
something.
did I do?
Yeah, yeah. She wanted to talk to you about something. Yeah.
Now I remember one of the things that I picked up. You always say you're not going to be your parents on certain things, and
Yeah, you are.
one of the things that drive my family crazy, and my nieces and my daughter never knew my mother because she passed before they were really born. But my mother had a habit of cleaning, and things would bother her. Like, soon as you left, you didn't even have to leave. She would pick up something or clean it while people were there.
You already know.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I do the same thing. Before my family leaves, what I'm saying? Just lift your feet up. All I'm gonna do is just take that vacuum cleaner and get that up. I'm the first one finished eating and cleaning.
You're already
everything
cleaning.
up. Yes, and they still sitting there, and they say, that's kind of rude. Yeah, it is, because if I was somewhere and people started doing that, I would think they'd try to tell me I need to leave. But they know me by now.
Yeah.
So what is some of the quirkiness that you picked up from your mother we'll start with you, Colette.
Okay, well, it's not a quirkiness that I picked up, and there are some things I know for sure, but I notice about my oldest sister, Barbara. Whenever she gets upset about anything, she'll start cleaning.
Yes, she do.
Yeah, she'll start cleaning up the whole entire house.
Spotless.
And I noticed that my mother would do the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, she would, if she was upset about anything or, like really upset, she'll start the whole house, dishes, everything will be washed.
And they be
whole house
spotless.
will be clean. Yes. And so I noticed that quirkiness about
Okay.
that. Yeah. But as far as me, as far as recalling something offhand, just being observant, I'm not like a loud person, but that's one thing that I notice about myself, and I get that from her, is just being observant and watching everybody else and just laughing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, Gloria.
Straight up being able, it's not a judge, not a shade, know how to read people. Read their spirit, their body movement.
Okay.
And that's how she was. She would look at them real hard, and be accurate.
Yes.
Scary, but
Wow. Now, out of the three girls, when you say she looked and judged people, let's answer this question. Who got in trouble the most? I know you have another sister, Barbara, you said.
Yes, yep.
So
her name
who
is
got
Barbara.
into trouble the most of the three girls?
I think it had to be Barbara, because I'm doing what I do. I sit down because I ain't like the whoopings.
Me either. I don't like
Barbara would
weapons.
go somewhere. My father said, I better not catch y'all leaving out the house, and her and Calvin would go to a club while he in the bed, and he get up like, where's Calvin and Barbara? They gone out.
My sister didn't care for, she didn't mind getting a whooping.
Yeah, there you go.
I would cry at the thought of getting
This
a
is what
whooping.
I'm talking about. Oh, my God. Because they didn't know when to stop.
Right.
You know, then they think of it later on, you're going to get another woman because they thought it up again. You know, and then the other night you was doing this right here and I didn't get you for that. I'm like, what?
Yeah, I remember.
Oh.
Well, I didn't grow up with them. Because
Right.
Like I said, it's 6 years.
Okay.
We were
between
drama.
us. Yeah, and by the time we came along, it was like almost time for them to leave the home or whatever.
Okay.
And we were
Yeah,
still there.
so I didn't grow up with them. Yeah, you were still there.
Yeah.
But I didn't. Yep, you're right. You were still there, but I didn't grow up with them. But I
Right.
remember stories from my mother. The
Yeah.
boys got in trouble more than the girls.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
they did.
sure.
Because, see, I played with the
Yes.
boys. But
Exactly. Yep. So they got in
Okay.
trouble more than the girls. But I remember one time my father, I was reading a book, and I guess he told me to go to bed. I was reading a book, and then all of a sudden, he went outside and got a real big stick, just because I was.
Because you didn't move fast enough.
Because I didn't go to bed. I guess he wanted me to go to bed, go to sleep or whatever, and then all of a sudden he come in the house with a big stick, and my mother was like, "No, that's not happening."
Right, not
she
no
didn't-
more.
She didn't even do anything. I was like about 12 or 13, and I was like reading a book.
Okay.
Yeah, but my mother didn't let any of that happen, but I was not really a bad child or got whoopings or anything like that anyway. Yeah, but I think mostly the boys got in trouble more
Okay.
than the girls.
yeah.
Yeah, or Barbara got in trouble.
Yeah, because she...
Yeah, and she's not here to defend herself.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was going to say. Now,
she would
Barbara-
agree. Barbara would know. She
Barbara
know.
grew up which group?
Me.
With you.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep, the first set.
Yeah.
All right. So
Straight up drama.
of the sets, then Colette. So you were in the second
They're the more
set.
quiet kids.
Okay, I was going to ask, were you influenced by the youngest? Because sometimes the older ones, they look up to the older siblings, and the older siblings, of course, don't want to have anything to do with the younger ones. Was that the case?
Oh yes, because that is true. My brother Melvin, it's
Oh,
like I
you
said,
mean
it's
him,
6
yeah.
years in between me and him, and he wouldn't talk to me. I think I didn't learn how to talk until I was about 3 years old.
Okay.
Because he didn't want to talk to me because I took his place as being the baby. I guess he thought he thought it was it.
Yeah,
it
6
was just
kids,
him.
that was it.
He had 6 children, and he
And
was
here
the
you come.
baby. And then all of a sudden, here's a girl.
Right.
Yep, and he didn't want anything to do with me. He didn't want to talk to me or anything like that. And so it took a long time for me to learn how to talk
Okay.
because of him. But now I can't keep him off my phone.
Right.
Yeah.
Always on the telephone. Always want to talk.
Yeah. When you reach
Yeah.
a certain age, I think
Yeah.
that
Yeah, I guess once he
Everything goes
realized
there.
that I wasn't going anywhere,
Right.
and then he had
Like
to.
she gonna be here.
Yeah, then he had to talk to me.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Protect her. I go and protect her.
Mm-hmm.
Now, your mother, well, first of all, I want to thank you both for being so open with this conversation, because it's going to get just a little tougher here as we talk about your mother making her transition on August 4th. That was in 1999, and then 20 days, that was just 20 days before her birthday.
Yes.
So, Colette, please share what that day was like for you and your family. In the book, you talk about going to Melvin's house on your mother's birthday.
Okay.
So, what was that day like?
Okay. Actually, we went. Well, let me change up a little bit.
Okay.
Because on her birthday, it was my sister and I. We went to Big Boys. That was her first birthday without her being around. So we went to Big Boys just to celebrate her birthday anyway. So we ate and, probably reminisce.
Now, which sister was this?
My sister Gloria.
Gloria, okay.
Yeah, just me and Gloria. It was just the two of us. We went. And I think we probably reminisced, talked about, her and different things like that. And then Labor Day was the first holiday without her. And then we all went over to Melvin's house, so that was really the first holiday that she wasn't around.
Okay.
And it was raining that day, it was storming outside, and everybody came over. All the brothers.
Unbelievable.
Yep, all 6
Was
brothers.
it planned or just happened?
It just happened. Well, he had a holiday, always had a holiday planned for, or like food and everything planned for Labor Day, because his daughter's birthday is on Labor Day too.
Okay.
But it wasn't, everybody just got together because it was like our first holiday without a mother. And all 6 boys were there, all 3 girls, all of her grandchildren, everybody was there. And then all of a sudden it started to rain, storm a little bit, and we were just outside. The boys, they were playing basketball. We were all out there dancing in the rain, and it was
We needed that.
yeah, and it was like the sun was shining in between the rain, and we were all having a good time celebrating, because she was still, it seems like she was still there right in the midst of us.
She is still here.
Yep, still having a good time. And then from then on, her next birthday, we probably went to Big Boys again, and then a few more family members came, and then we had her following birthday, we probably had it at my house, and then maybe 25 people came over, and then that next following it was like 50 people over at the house, and we would cook all the food and everything that she
would
her
have.
recipes, that she taught us how to cook, and we would cook, and then everybody would come over and everybody would have a great time. But that day over Melvin's was on Labor Day, but it was one of the first holidays without her.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was a happy time because we had went through so much at the hospital, and this is a time for, the Bible say, it's a time for everything. It was a time for laughter, and all that. And she was with us and making sure that we enjoyed.
Yeah, she was with us in spirit.
Yeah, and she's still with us.
And I was gonna ask you later on, but I'll bring it up now since you mentioned it when you said the Bible says that. So you basically relied on your faith. Could you say your faith kept you through or helped you through that, or were you thinking of that at
Number
all?
one, God speaks for me, helped me through all of it, because when she was gone, I didn't know she was gone that many years. He took my mind somewhere, but my body was still doing what I was supposed to do, like grieving. I don't do.
Okay.
I don't do.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was happy because she didn't have to struggle anymore
Right.
with this BS,
Right.
what she was going to go through. And with no life, it was not a life,
Right.
So, I was at the hospital all the time too, and seeing her just laying there, no life. So he said, okay, you want this is what you got.
Right.
Yeah, but she had taught us about
Yeah.
God
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
all growing up through our entire lives, and so that's why we knew.
Yeah.
And it was that God could have had us to feel something way worse than,
Yeah, we
than
could
what
have
we were
found her
dealing with. Yeah, we
in
could
the
have,
house.
yeah, we could have found her or something like that. And but God, He definitely brought us through this
He's so
whole
good.
entire situation.
Absolutely.
It was like a banquet. Like if you hear you're gonna get this banquet, you see her, you getting used to. He didn't have to be that good to us, but he was.
And I know that to be true. Of
Yeah.
course, I think I shared with you all how I stayed in a particular stage, which was the anger stage for like 25 years because I was mad at God. Because I felt my mother was only in her 50s, and I felt it was, he had taken her way too soon and left her 4 kids to, kind of fend for themselves. So, and then I was mad at her. It didn't make sense to me later, but of course, that's where I was at 19.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you talked about doing this as a event, an annual event, whose idea was it, or did it just happen?
Well, it was my and my sister idea
Okay.
to make it an annual event.
Yeah,
When
with
we
them or
started-
without them.
Yeah, when we started
Okay.
off, that's right. When we started off at Big Boys and we
Mhm.
celebrated her birthday there, or just talked about or reminisced about her and made it a fun time. We didn't want
Yeah.
it to be anything sad.
And they
Right.
wanted
We
to come
wanted it,
too.
we wanted it to
Yeah.
be fun. You know, a lot of times when people get into like a death of a loved one or
Yeah.
something like that, then they'll be sad and then they'll start, saying, well, I'm going to have a bad day today because
Yeah,
my mother
and they
Right.
want
my
to
father.
have a
Right.
bad day.
That's
Yeah.
well,
They
sometimes
speak it into existence.
Yeah, they
yeah,
do.
they do. They
They
speak
do.
it into existence.
Yeah.
They want to
I'm
have a
gonna
bad
cry on that
day.
day. Mhm.
Yeah, I'm gonna cry on that day. I'm gonna be sad. But no, we start talking like the year, like right now, we're start talking about okay, well, what we're gonna do next year
Yeah.
in order to make it better, to make it
Okay.
more
Right.
fun
Mhm.
for everybody else. Where are we gonna have it at? Are we gonna have it at a restaurant? Are we gonna have it at a house? What
Right.
kind of food are we gonna have?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we start talking about her
What we
celebration.
gonna wear? Oh,
Yeah, like what are we
all
gonna
over the
wear?
top.
Yeah, what are we gonna wear? How are we gonna wear our hair? And what are we gonna do? And what kind of balloons are we gonna have? What colors are we gonna have for the balloons?
Okay.
And so we want to make the celebration fun because she
Yeah.
was worth
Yeah.
celebrating.
Yeah.
Everybody isn't worth
Oh.
celebrating, and
True.
yeah.
Bad
I
to
mean,
say.
True.
Yeah, it is bad to say,
But
sad
it
to
is-
say,
it's
but
true.
if you can celebrate your loved one,
Yeah.
if they are so good that you can celebrate them,
A
then you
human
should.
spirit. A
Yeah.
human spirit.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Now, I know you all say that you all came up with this idea of the celebration. So was everybody on the same page? I mean, everybody deals with grief differently. So did anyone have any problems with it or struggle with it?
Well,
No,
you know what? I
they
don't think
did not.
no, I don't think they had a struggle with it.
They
but
did,
you know,
they didn't
they
tell
didn't.
us.
They didn't know what to expect. You know,
Uh-huh.
sometimes when someone come to an event, you say, okay, well, this is an event for our mother. Even when we go out to a restaurant, we'll tell the waitress or the staff, this is an event for our mother, but she's not here, she passed. And they feel that is so nice and so touching.
Yeah, they
Right.
want
That we're going to
involved.
celebrate a person, and
Right.
it seems like she's
Yeah.
there, but she's not.
A good
But
person.
she's there in spirit.
Mhm.
But so whenever some of the family members are at the very beginning, just keep in mind that this happened like 20 years ago. She's
Right.
been gone. But in the very beginning, some of the family members didn't know what to expect. They will come in and like Barbara or some of the other family members, they didn't know what we were
Right.
celebrating or
How
not
to-
not or
what to
how
do.
what
Yeah.
were what exactly we were doing to
Yeah.
celebrate. And so they thought they had to be sad, but when it turned out to be fun, everybody was eating, nobody was talking about anything sad.
Mm-hmm.
It's always
Bring the
something.
pictures out.
Yeah, we bring out the pictures, we
Purse.
bring out the purse and start taking the things out the purse that she has in there
Yeah.
that belong to us.
Yeah.
And it is so funny, and we'll get a chance to go through this purse if you want
Yes,
to.
yes, because
so
I'm going to
that you-
ask each one of you.
Yeah, so that you can
about
see
this.
some of these things in the purse, and
Okay.
it's so funny. And so they all start laughing. Everybody want to see the purse. They want, okay, well, let me
And
see
every
what's
time
in
you
there.
look at it, it's something
It's
in
something.
there
It
that you
seems like
have
it's
not
something
seen.
different.
I'd be like,
It always
wow.
seems like it's something different.
Yeah, she put
Yeah. So everybody, they were on board, but they didn't know what to expect. And
Right.
so
because they
Okay.
used to being sad. Somebody
Yeah.
taught them how to be sad.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So-
because the first time
Yeah.
I think Colette, you posted about it,
Mhm.
and I saw it, and I said, "Wow, that's." And since, of course, I seen one other person do it that I know, but when I saw it, I was like, "Wow, that's interesting."
Yeah.
And then I think when I mentioned it to you, you said, "Oh, you can come," and I'm gonna tell you the truth. I felt like I would be intruding
No.
to come, so I said,
No.
"No,
It was
I'm not gonna
other people.
come."
No, it's people that
A lot
want
of
to
people
come. Yeah, that's
come.
not even.
Yeah.
Yeah, they never met her.
Oh,
And
they
Okay.
love it.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But
you
I
have
asked
so
you
much
about,
fun.
I said, when I was asking her, I said, "Well, what do you do?" And you mentioned stories. The first thing that really came to my mind was, "Ooh, that sounds like it would be sad." But
Everybody
you said
thought
it
that.
wouldn't be sad,
Yeah, right.
so
You
I
celebrate
guess
yours
you
while you're
could.
there. You know.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So no, it wasn't sad.
Yeah.
At first, they
Okay.
didn't know what
Celebrate
to expect.
life
Yeah.
Right.
over and over and
Mhm.
over.
Right.
Yeah,
We
and
talk about it
the-
every day.
Right, and then
Yeah.
we talk about the good
Mhm.
times because it's some bad, sad
Oh,
times, but we just
absolutely.
talk about the fun things
Yeah.
and the things that we can
Mhm.
laugh about.
Right.
Because in the story, I talked about some
And she didn't have
sad
no
things.
evilness
Right.
about her. It was weird. How can you never you say a bad word.
Yeah, that's why I don't say bad words.
Yeah,
Yeah.
her and
Profanity.
I
we
don't
always
use
call her
profanity
mama because
either.
she just like her, and
Yeah.
I don't now, but
yeah, my mother.
you know, she never.
No, my
Yeah.
mother.
She had that kind of father. How can you like not? How could she not? But she
Right.
did not.
Yeah.
So you're not saying nothing when you're cussing, really? Let me teach you.
Yeah,
I didn't know that
don't use
then,
it.
but I
Yeah.
understand now.
Oh,
I was
yes,
like
yes, of
13,
course.
14.
Right.
Girl.
So now, when we think about the next generation, you know, we all know we leaving here.
Of course.
As I was sharing with my niece earlier, my father has one brother left, and he's one of 12.
Wow.
That
Okay.
in that generation, and then on my mother's side, there was also 12.
Wow, yeah.
And there's 3 of them left. And when they're gone, that ends that generation. And I'm the next generation.
Okay.
And so when you talk about a legacy, leaving something that you want to be left behind, what do you think will happen? Do they value what you all do and understand the
Well,
importance of it?
the younger kids, everything that we do, they're there. So
Yeah.
we're teaching it. Maybe they'll do that for their mom. I mean, maybe. You know.
Yeah. Right. Maybe they'll do that for their mom, but
Yeah.
as far as
teaching
continuing
it.
our celebration
Yeah.
for our mother,
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
yeah, maybe they will continue that because whenever we're there, we talk about her and the reason that
And they
we're having a
remember her, too.
celebration.
Mhm.
But as far as them continuing that, our only hope is that they will not be sad when they lose someone, that they
Yeah.
will just take on
Right.
the part to celebrate.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
that's what we want
That's
to
the
leave,
happy time.
is a celebration.
Happy
Yeah.
Now,
time.
I know you lost a brother recently.
Mm-hmm.
So anyone that's behind that you bring into the celebration as well?
Yes, we do. We, just like we have some older brothers too that's gone on, and they're with her, and
Okay.
Right.
and so we will talk about them during the celebration for my mother. We'll talk about like different things that they did that was funny and fun, and even this brother that just passed in July. We talked. She said that he was her pony if he never wins a race, and we talk about him during like her celebration too.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he went to found, got his mama. He went to found his mama. I'm being right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So we do talk about the others that
Yeah.
has
we
gone
do.
on the other side of life.
Okay, so you
Yeah.
recently had an event. Take us through that day that you actually had your last celebration.
The celebration for my mother
Yes.
on August 24th,
Mm-hmm.
We got pictures.
2019. Yeah, but we have pictures. Of course, we have pictures. Yeah. Okay, so
Yeah,
that
that's
day we went. It was what we planned it about. Was it about 4 o'clock or 6 o'clock?
4
I think
o'clock.
it was 4 o'clock.
6 o'clock, too late to eat.
Okay, it was at 4 p.m. We met at Chili's restaurant.
Right.
And our family members there, Chili's, they have like a room. It's almost like a banquet room.
We call it
Like
a party room.
Yeah, we call it our party room.
Okay.
And so we picked up balloons. Once we got to the restaurant, we tied the balloons to each chair. And then what was going to happen, at the end of the dinner, we get all the balloons together. Everybody take their balloon out, and then we send them up to our mother. So we got to the restaurant, ordered our food, and then we brought the purse out. We took pictures with each other. We took out the purse, and then we started taking the things out the purse. Everybody was passing around the different driver's license, rent receipts.
Yeah, I was going to say the rent receipts.
yeah.
Oh, why the rent can't be that
Baby
cheap
bracelets.
today?
Yeah, baby bracelets.
Yeah.
Okay.
Social security card, marriage license, my father Army discharge papers.
Everything.
So yeah, so all of those things are inside the purse, and we started passing those things around and laughing. Bullets. I don't know why. Some
So
bullets.
is this how the purse was when she made her transition, or are
Yes.
things added to the purse?
No, we didn't add
Okay,
it.
so that's exactly what's
Yes.
in it now.
Yeah.
It was in it.
That's
If
2
we
right.
years
need
ago.
something,
Yes.
it's in there.
Yeah.
I
If we
see.
need it now, it's in there.
So let's go to the purse now.
Okay.
What is one of the
And the pictures in there, oh, we just crack up. This is so-and-so when they was little. When I say I was adopted, because there's no baby pictures of me.
No.
And so we didn't have a camera then. Oh,
What's your favorite thing in the purse that you think that?
My favorite thing inside the purse is my baby bracelet. It's because it was,
Okay.
yeah, it says Girls Steam. No, does
I
it
think
say
my
girls?
grandson wants to organize that purse. He
Yeah,
said
he wants
that he just got a kick out of that bag.
Okay, now this is mine. Okay, now this was her bracelet that went around her arm.
Oh,
For
it's
her.
just
Yes,
amazing that
yes,
it's
that's her
still-
bracelet.
Kept everything.
Wow.
Yes, that was her bracelet.
Is this Mercy Hospital?
That is.
Is that Burton
It
Mercy?
looked like something might have
think
been
so.
before it.
Maybe
Burton Mercy.
Burton
It is.
Mercy.
Mercy.
It is Burton
That's where I
Mercy.
was
Which
born.
Probably is, well, we know it's probably no
And
longer
this,
around.
this
Right.
says Boystein, and this was my brother Jeffrey's. This was her
Wow.
bracelet.
Wow, this is a bracelet.
Yeah.
You can still read the
So
name.
she kept her
from
stuff, too. Okay.
1966.
Yes, she did.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now this is,
And this is from 68.
yeah. Now this is my sister Gloria's bracelet.
Oh,
when
Is
she
that
was
mine?
born.
Oh my
Yes,
God, my arm was that
is
little?
Yes.
Something.
That's her baby
And I
bracelet.
can't even keep it. Well, I just keep it in there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
this
So
is truly
I was a baby for-
treasure chest.
I said I
Yes.
was a baby for
And then
real.
this is my bracelet when I was a baby.
Oh, look.
I used to go get her out the bed like every morning, and put her in the bed with me so my mother could get some good sleep.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that was my
now,
baby.
Did you all know before that these items were in the purse?
No,
No.
no, because at first we weren't even going in the purse. At the very beginning,
She didn't allow us.
we were not taking the purse to the celebrations
Right,
with us.
yeah.
That came like years later.
Yeah.
We started taking the purse to the
Because
celebrations.
we would come
with
over
us.
your house and see the
Yeah.
purse, and then she started bringing it to the celebration.
Right.
Because we would look in the
Okay.
purse all the time,
Yeah, yeah, but we didn't know. We just left it like it was, and then we just
Because the
Right.
younger children had to learn,
a little
our
history.
past, yeah.
a little
Right.
history.
See their daddy when their daddy was little
Mhm.
and stuff
Driver's
like that.
license. My brother's Calvin. That's his driver's license.
Oh, okay. And this license is,
Yeah.
say 78.
And this is hospital insurance for my father, Social Security.
Yeah, these are
Yeah,
things that you would think that would get destroyed or.
exactly. Yep.
And
that
all
she-
that was in the purse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is.
Look over there in the purse. Bring
so
me that
nice.
purse. Yeah, bring me that purse. I
Yeah.
get it.
It was just important papers, important things that she felt that was important to us, and she just, kept them for us. Yeah.
Okay, and
Okay.
so you go through that purse and
Mm-hmm.
just reminisce
Yeah.
about the good old days.
The little kids, they'll look at it and laugh.
Exactly.
The younger.
Old phone books.
And phone numbers in there, numbers that I used to know,
Yeah.
you know.
Okay.
Just kept everything.
And that's why I still have a phone
That's
book.
nice, yeah,
Phones will quit on you in a minute.
it sure will. Now, when we, one final thought on the celebration, what personally does it mean to each of you?
What the celebration means to me is that we can just keep, like I said, keep the fun things in mind. It's always going to be sad times. We're every day is some type of situation going on. But this is a time for us to pause and remember that person, because she had gone through so much from the
Yeah.
beginning of, like, when she first came to Michigan, and she had, like my brother, like whatever it is that she had to deal with, my oldest brother, when he had gotten on drugs, and she had
Yeah.
to deal with that situation. Each and every child, she had something to deal with. Like I said, we were all her favorites, but she still had some situation. Life happens.
Yeah, that's a
and
lot.
so so when life happens, then, and she's no longer here, and so we still get to celebrate her life. And so that's what the celebration means to me,
Okay.
is that we can still celebrate her because she was worth celebrating. She was such a great mother. She protected me from a lot of things. She protected, all of us from a lot of things as much as she could, because like I
Right.
said, she didn't work,
Just like
Right.
what's
and
in
she
that
didn't
letter,
drive.
what's in that book.
Yeah, yeah, whatever was in the story. Yeah, she didn't
Read
work and she didn't drive, but she always took care. She took care of us. And if I had children, which I didn't, I would want to be the same way. I would want to be able to take care of them and not
Right.
have to work. And so it just didn't work out that way, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But I'm just happy to still be a person
Right.
that can celebrate her.
Right.
So that's what the
Right.
celebration means to me. And I just hope the same for, a lot of people, if they have a person
Yes.
worth celebrating, don't be sad about it.
Right.
Celebrate them and just have a good time, because you're going to always have something to be sad
Yes.
about in
Keep
life,
it
because
here.
life happens.
That's true.
Life happens.
That's true.
Right.
Gloria, how about you? What does it mean to you?
Oh, about the same thing. I mean, she looked out. She kept my son. That was her baby, and she took care of him. And she wanted the best for all the grandchildren. So she was unconditional to everybody, like that. So about the celebration, celebrate it every day. Think about her, because when I'm talking, not talking to her, but I know her mind, and I know
Right.
what she would say,
Right.
physically, if she was here, like that. And I just laugh about her because she's still silly, like that. We can think about something. I can call her.
Yeah, because we talk all day.
Yeah.
Okay.
When they would be in the bed trying to sleep, me and her in the room laughing loud, cracking up.
Yeah.
All night. I mean, don't come over tonight, girl. You talk too much. You the one started talking.
Right. So it's I can imagine it is hard for some people. We're gonna go through these stages of grief in a minute.
But I think the hard part for a lot of people, they see their parent in the hospital. That's the most important part, when the person is laying there and they need your help, and then the
Right.
person don't come. Period.
Yeah.
They looking for the person to come back to them. You supposed to go and be with your loved one. Be
Right.
there. Just be there. You don't have to be in the room. Be there to feel that spirit.
Yeah, now,
Yes.
yeah, now what I want to say about that is true. My sister, she was in the hospital room with my mother.
Okay.
My mother knew me. I could not be
Yeah, she
in the room.
She named
Okay.
each kid.
Yes,
Yeah.
she knew each one of us
Uh-huh.
and what we were going to do and what we weren't
Right.
going to do. Now, I was in the room, probably sitting down at the bottom of the bed or something like that somewhere. I just could not just
Everybody
be-
can't do that,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
what
absolutely.
I
I
did.
couldn't be there touching her and doing all
Yeah,
just being
yeah.
close. I couldn't do. I went and talked to the doctors and did
She
paperwork.
did. You did what you did.
Yeah, she knew I was.
You did your part.
Yeah, I did
Yes.
my part, but I was. I can be at the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
To see what's going on and make sure that they're taking care of her.
Yeah,
and that's
exactly.
what's important too, because you have
Right.
to make sure that your family members, if they don't see anybody coming in to care about
They're
your
not gonna care.
family, they might not care about
Yeah.
them
Mhm.
like
Right.
that. And
They'll
so
do anything to
My
them.
mother knew each one of us, and she knew I was not going to be like right there up over
Up in her face. Yeah.
I couldn't.
She knew I was gonna be in her face.
I couldn't do it. Yeah,
That's why she had to pass when I went and took a break and went home.
Okay.
She had to pass because I was right there.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I
You
know,
get a break.
Colette, I think you mentioned, because we had our Toastmasters luncheon on the day of your brother's funeral, and I
Yeah.
think
No,
at some point you mentioned you couldn't actually sit in service.
Oh,
You
yeah.
were in the office.
Right.
Yeah, so that's just a part of you. You can't see
Yeah,
that.
but
final.
some people, I have seen
Yeah, but she was
some
really.
people, but they weren't related to me. Like
Right.
that, I
Yes.
guess.
Yeah.
You
Yes,
know,
I
It makes a
got you.
difference.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah, because I don't have that relationship.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Right.
so it all depends on the relationship.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so my brother and I, my mother said, okay, well, this is your baby. And that's how we
Yeah.
weren't jealous of the other child. Everybody had a partner. Everybody
Yeah.
had a baby.
Right.
So
Okay.
when she had him, he was younger than me. So she said, well, this is your baby. And so
Okay.
and so I could not see him laid out.
You right.
Okay.
She
At
could
all.
not.
So
That's
I went to
different.
the office and I could hear the services from the office and I can peek out and see what everybody was doing, but I could not see him stretched out.
Right.
Yeah. So that's what happened.
And I'm kind of in agreement with you. And I know when my mother-in-law passed, first it was my father, then my father-in-law, and then my mother-in-law. and then my nieces, who we were real close with, her father-in-law, when they passed, like right in a row, we all, had that conversation about how we wanted to be buried or not be buried.
Mm-hmm.
And in my mind, I wonder if it's selfish to not even have a funeral, because I don't know
Talk about
if
that all
I,
the time.
I don't know if I want to do it.
that right now. You don't have to.
Yeah.
Why
I
make
mean,
people
are we
sad?
obligated?
Why make them like sadder?
Right.
Yeah.
What is the funeral for, and who is
They
it
should
for?
have been abolished that.
Yeah.
They should have been.
Because I said I just might be
No.
selfish
Yeah.
of me.
It's
if
not selfish.
One of my
It's your
family
choice.
Yeah.
Because I don't want
I
one.
may not have a funeral.
I'm not
at
having
all.
one.
Yeah.
I'm not having one.
It's
You
not.
got something to say to me? Say it now.
That's right, but it's
Yeah.
That's my thing.
I don't think it's selfish
It's
because
not.
my husband's family, they are donated to Wayne State whenever
Okay.
they
I
pass.
think that's
His
awesome.
father,
That is so
his,
awesome.
I think his grandfather was cremated, but his grandmother was donated to Wayne State.
Awesome.
His mother is already written, donated. She's being
Okay.
donated, and his uncle was just last year. So they don't have a funeral. They may have a memorial later.
Don't
on,
have to
like
have that
maybe-
either.
Right.
No, but like on down, like months
Yeah,
later.
months later.
Yeah, but
Have
they
a
don't.
celebration.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they don't have a funeral.
Well, hopefully.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's so-
the
yeah.
cemeteries
It's
get
too-
rich. All these
That's
places.
right.
This is
get
what I'm
rich.
talking about. Your money
You
going
go
in the
debt.
ground.
Yes.
The money for the living. You got some
Right.
money here. Give it to the living.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then the stress and the grief that it puts on the
It's
family.
too hard.
Yeah. Then what if you don't have any
is.
money? Then you go
It's too hard.
Go fund
take
me.
that body. Hey, take that body
Yeah,
and take it to Wayne State.
The only way that sometimes that they will do GoFundMe is that someone is tragically killed
Yeah.
in some
No, I
times.
know some people who've done GoFundMe.
Oh, okay.
Because they didn't have any
But why
policies.
They did.
gather up
Okay.
some money to
Yeah.
undertakers? I wouldn't
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, but it's too hard, just like you're saying.
Nope.
And I don't agree with it, and I don't think it's selfish either.
It's not.
Right. I was just wondering.
It's
'cause
not.
It's not something
It don't
I
even
think
matter.
I would do.
Yeah, just something that if you feel that way, you should do what you want to do, and
You're
that's
right.
And
it.
just let it be known.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or not.
Yeah.
It's like,
Well,
where's
she
she
mean
at?
to the
You're
people
not
who
gonna-
got to take care of your business afterwards, like your family.
Yeah.
Let them know I don't wish to have a funeral or
That's
something of that nature. Because really, I mean, it's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
they're
too
gonna sit
hard.
there and look at you for 2 hours and cry. Come on.
it's too hard.
Oh no.
Yeah, that whole week is hard to even
Yes.
get through because you're
Yeah.
waiting
Right.
on the process.
And then you
Right.
got to, you got to deal with other people that's grieving.
and that's too hard.
harder.
Yeah.
Cause I don't grieve like that. Only thing I want to know is what I'm gonna wear. Cause I can take myself out of it. I let Pepper do. I let Pepper. Gloria goes into Pepper,
Okay.
and Gloria will come back.
Okay.
And deal with it by herself. And Pepper want to get the outfit ready. Let's go on the gala.
Okay. Sounds good.
But
Okay,
you
so
get
let's-
back to reality,
Right. Let's talk about some of these stages and see where we were at and how long they say they last. So grief affects each of us differently, and the best way to comfort someone is to understand what they're going through. Now, according to my research, there's a process. So let's walk through it. Maybe you can share some thoughts on how you experienced it. What they call the first one is the denial or the isolation. And I know that your mother, was she alert during those, that was a long span from the time she had the stroke to the time she actually made the transition. So was she alert or was she hospitalized the whole time?
Yeah, but you have to, whatever a person's going through, you have to be there 247 to learn them and learn what's going on, and they can read you if you're there all the time. But if you just walk in and just look at them and visit, like that, you won't know.
But the answer,
If
yeah, go ahead.
I mean, I'm just saying, when she was like under, like when she woke up or whatever.
Okay, so was she aware that people were in the room, the surroundings?
I know how to
the
make her aware, and
Okay.
she contact with me. She had a communication with me like one time, telling me to go get the doctor by a sign, and I was just froze like,
Okay.
oh my God.
So did you accept the fact that what had happened? Were you all told there was going to, no
I don't
comeback
never
from
hear
this?
that anyway. I don't hear man talking.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just-
Okay. So when she first got to the hospital, and she was in emergency, she had a brainstem stroke.
Yeah.
And so once she got to the hospital, and then she was not able to talk to us anymore.
Yeah.
So she wasn't able to talk to us, and she was not able to. If she made eye contact with us or whatever, it wasn't like she could talk to us and
Yeah.
get up and walk around and
Right.
go use the bathroom.
No communication.
None of those
like
things.
that.
They had to even put a trach in so that they could suction out her lungs because she didn't have the body functions
Yeah.
Okay.
like that anymore.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
no. And so if she had continued to live, it wasn't going to be like she was
Yeah.
prior to the stroke.
Yeah.
Okay.
At all.
Torture.
Yeah,
Right.
the stroke was something totally different. It made her to a different person that we had to get used to
Yeah.
her being a different person.
Yeah.
So
It was like
the
torture.
so the communication was different because you have to learn her, like you said, you have to
Yeah.
learn her all over.
Mhm.
And then it was some that was in the family that could not
do it.
handle
Okay.
that.
And,
All
and
right.
I know when she
then there was some
disconnected.
denial
Yes, they couldn't
Yeah.
handle that part of
I
the
know when
process.
she disconnected, like totally from me, because I was looking out the window, and then I would turn, and then she was looking at me, and then I would turn back and look at her, and then she would like turn off, so she's like disconnected. That right there was the worst feeling in the world. I could feel anything else. She disconnected in my face, like you need to go and live your life and stop hanging around here like all day.
Right.
That's the message that I got.
Right.
She was
Yeah.
not, because a little bit, if I lay next to her or something, her hand would softly, like, touch me or something like that. And I said, wow, I'm getting hope. She's coming back,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she,
So, right. So then, in a sense, you still had some denial too, because you wanted her to come back. And
Yeah, definitely. I'm
Like she
gonna,
was.
Yeah.
you
yeah, I'm
wanted
gonna
to
root
talk.
for you all while you here.
Exactly, because you
I don't let it go like that. Yeah.
You wanted to laugh and talk and everything.
Yeah, I said, scoot over. I
She-
said, you hogging up the whole bed, and she would look at me like, you
Yeah,
don't
but
get
she
it.
wasn't laughing and talking.
Yeah.
she wasn't
But I was still
that
being
person.
treating her the same way.
Right.
Okay. So when
Same.
she passed, they talk about isolation, that people want to go off on their own because people grieve. I can remember during my mother's funeral, and the whole idea of funerals themselves, where people come back and
That
do this. What they gave it a name now? Repairing.
Repass.
Repass. Yes. The whole idea and concept of that, it baffles me, because before it was named a repass, people would go back to the house, and like
call
I
it a
said, I
wake
was
or
19. I walked in, walked
Yeah.
into my aunt's house. It's full of people who used to know my mother and all that, and and they would say things like that, and you don't want to be bothered,
I know.
or at least I didn't. And everybody's having a good time. I understand. You call this a celebration, but I don't know if the day of the funeral.
Maybe you
is
don't want to celebrate it
that
day.
day.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not that day.
Like
So, right.
But you can say nice things about the person. I think that's how they do it. But say something nice to the person while they're here.
Yes.
You ain't got to stand up there and because you can't.
You
It's
stand
not.
there.
It don't
Right.
make sense.
Right.
It's for other people. Like whenever you're standing there talking about
Yeah.
that person,
Get
it's
a
for
little chilly.
it's for other people.
Mm-hmm.
But but whenever you, like at the funeral or after the funeral, it is a time that you do not want to, I guess, be in communication with you're ready to leave. Like
Yeah.
after the funeral, you're ready to leave.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't want to sit around and eat and talk about them
Right.
afterwards.
Right, because your
When
appetite
you
ain't
had
like
that
that.
opportunity, you had
Yeah.
that opportunity to talk to them or to sit with them while they were there. So now all of a sudden you want to sit around a bunch of people. That is not
Right.
the case.
Can't.
Yeah.
I can't
yeah.
do that one.
So that is a that is one of the
So
steps
I don't
that
like
people
fake
go through.
stuff,
Right.
I don't
Now,
like
when they
fake.
talk about anger, this is one of the things where I told you for myself, I got stuck in. So the anger can be on whatever. The anger could be on another family member because they didn't do enough.
You
or-
can, because you can get to them, you can't get to God.
Yes, or it can be on, like I told you with me, the anger was on God because,
Yeah.
I felt he deserted us. The anger's on my mother for getting sick, and and the anger is just misdirected
Yeah.
at whomever.
Just angry.
Just
Right.
angry, and then eventually, you don't even realize that you're even angry. Time just moves on,
Yeah.
and if you don't address the anger,
Yeah.
it can eat you up.
It will.
Yeah, and I think maybe because some of the family members, they couldn't allow themselves to see her like that, and I think we probably got angry at some of them because they were not there as much as we were. She was there every day, no matter what. If she had to walk,
That was
catch
my,
the bus,
if,
or whatever.
if you
that
in the
was her
world,
thing to
if
do.
I can see you, I don't care where you at. I don't care if you got tubes in you. I don't see the tube. I'm still seeing you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but she was there. But
Yeah.
some of the other ones, even though they had a car, they could have still been there too.
They live right
And
down
then-
the street from the hospital. Guess
Yeah.
what? They still crying today.
Yeah.
One
Yeah.
person still crying today.
Yeah.
But still,
Can do
I
nothing.
think that anger at them,
Yeah.
like, well,
Right.
you should have, you should have been there.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
but this particular person we talking about, they don't be there for anything, so they can't deal with it at all.
Yeah.
They can't deal with grief, Barbara,
death.
Yeah.
at all.
And see, and I think, when I say the anger might be misdirected, is because we know how we are as an individual, how we accept grief or whatever it is, but the other person has their own way.
Yeah.
And you say Barbara might not be able to accept it at all, and for her, she can't see it. And I know, like for example, when my mother-in-law passed, well, my daughter stayed vigil at the hospital with her grandmother, and my niece went and stayed there the last few days, and I came and went. But my husband did not want to, because he said he didn't want to see his mother like
He
that.
couldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Some people cannot.
Yeah.
In my
register that.
mind, I'm thinking I would be there if it was my mother,
Yeah.
but everybody's different.
Yeah.
So,
It's true.
Yeah.
It's
you
true.
got to kind of, I guess, respect that.
Yeah.
piece
Because
of
everybody's
it.
not cut out,
Yeah.
for that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people
You're
work
not.
at the cemetery. They work at the funeral home.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
Well, no.
Because I used to go in and visit people, like if I go view a body, I'm going to see how the other people, I think God is just so remarkable. He makes
No.
people, they look like a
Right,
mannequin.
no. But I do understand that, and I want to say that probably at the time, I think if I had relied on my faith and religion, it would have been easier. But at 19, I didn't.
No, but sometimes that I think that goes out the window sometimes.
And
Because you know
sometimes it
why I
does.
say that? Because when I first used to talk to the Lord about her, I know she, all this great and everything, and that's your daughter, and you want her to. And I said one thing bad, like one time. I said, you know what? Since she's so good like that and she can't be here anymore, I don't understand why she can't be here no more, but you probably can't fix nothing anyway. And then, but after that remark, then holy remarks came.
Yeah,
Because
but
it was
see,
just like,
Again, and confirming the
Yeah.
stages
You're
of
angry.
grief.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
that
Angry.
anger's
Yeah.
there.
Yep, you're angry
However
at
and
God.
whomever it's directed at.
and I wrote a letter so God could read it.
No, I mean, that was good because writing is
So funny.
therapeutic as well.
It's so funny, your spare time read it. And my mother, and I read the letter to her, and she laying there like,
Oh, child.
yeah.
Yeah.
And now, step number 3 is supposed to be
Jesus.
depression. Did either of you become?
No.
Okay.
I didn't. No.
Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't. No.
Yeah, I don't think
just
I
been-
made that
I think
one.
that
Right.
this, I
I
guess,
just think I've just been really busy all the
yeah,
time. And you'll
by
and
me
you will find-
disconnecting.
And
Yeah.
yes, and
and
that
you
is
will find a whole
Whole lot of
different
things to do.
absolutely.
Because that's
Absolutely.
what
That's what
that's
happens.
good. You work through it, and then you look up. You done did like 10 years. Okay, 10 years. Where was I?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
did
And
I go?
things go
I'm
by
trying to think.
so
Did I go
fast.
somewhere?
Yeah. Absolutely. And then there's acceptance, and that's when they say it's a time of healing. I think I had done some soul searching. I'll call it soul searching for me internally for a lot of different things. Why do I have the fear of this, a phobia of this? Why, you know how you ask yourself, why am I like this?
Yeah.
So it was a thing with fish one time. I remember running in the house and running to the bathroom. I was a small kid, and there was a fish in the bathtub, and I didn't know it. And so the fish went flopping around in the bathtub and scared the heebie-jeebies out
Oh,
of
you
me.
have phobias?
Yes, I do.
Oh, I got horrible phobias. Oh.
Me too. So
We can't
what
even
I
talk
figured
about.
out, I know, what I figured out was I had, and I had a problem with constipation
Okay.
for years.
Yeah, that's.
You
that's
know what I associated it with?
Mm-hmm.
That fish.
Oh.
Because I associated it with the bathroom, going to the bathroom. And when I addressed that to myself,
Yeah.
it's like it went away.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
there are things when they talk about in your childhood that might be blocking you from certain things. You think about them.
You can
Same
counsel
way-
yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So the same
But
way
I
when I
can't.
thought
Not about the phobia.
yeah, I got
That's-
one. I
that's
can't
out.
either. When I thought about the situation with my mother, there were songs that couldn't be played on the radio, and
Oh.
and the minute they
Okay.
came on, I would always tell my husband, turn that off.
Yeah. Okay.
And there were things that couldn't be said or whatever. Conversations I didn't want to get
Yeah.
in.
Some
So when
people are like that. My sister's
Yeah.
like that.
when my daughter came along,
Yeah.
she came along knowing that there were songs that I couldn't hear on the radio.
Okay.
Neither one of them ever asked
And
me
they
that.
respected it.
They just respected it. And
Okay.
so when I went into this place of what is wrong, I got to figure this out.
Yeah.
I mean, this has been way too long that what is it? And that's when I came to the conclusion. I remember standing in that door when my father came home, because he had come back from out of town the day my mother went, that she had passed
Oh.
or was really, really sick. We knew she was really, really sick because this was before hospice. So she came home. And the day that her eyes and everything was just kind of like rolling around in the back of her head, I called my aunt. They didn't live too far. She came over. She said, no, we need to call the EMS. We called EMS. They couldn't even get a blood pressure reading or anything. So they took her to the hospital that night. She died that morning.
Wow.
So it was just a blessing it wasn't in the house.
Yeah.
But when he came back, because we had all went back home that morning to tell us that she had passed, I remember standing in that doorway, looking out the window, of course, blessing everybody out. And
I know, because you cannot believe.
Yes, I said,
That's the thing.
I never forgave them. Either one of them, my mother or God, I never forgave them. So I did.
That's good. Well, you did it.
Yeah.
Okay, you did it.
And then I can listen to the songs now.
See?
And I did a speech.
Let
and
go and let
Toastmaster,
God.
Right. And when I did that speech, and I told that story a couple of times, and when I told that story to people, I've had somebody come up and say, wow,
Yeah.
same thing happened.
Because a lot of people do that. You
Yeah.
know, they do that.
Just holding that doggone resentment or whatever and not knowing, okay, you got to say it.
Yeah.
you do.
You got to say
you
it.
do. From your heart. You
Yes,
do. You really
and I
do.
did, and
Yeah.
and then before I knew it, and it wasn't like as soon as I did it, I said, "Oh, yay, everything's okay."
It took
I
time.
just found myself one day, the song playing that I couldn't hear,
Yeah.
singing the words.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
And
wow.
I said, I don't believe that. I can sing the words to the song now.
Yeah.
Now we can play.
You
And,
can have
and
a
I
wholesome life.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But it took way too long because I got stuck
Yeah.
in that anger. It took way too
Yeah,
long. 25 years.
Oh wow. Yeah.
That's
That was a long time.
That's a long
It
time.
is.
You know what that reminded me of, and which I didn't get angry or anything like that, is when I would smell the perfume, White
Oh
Diamond.
yeah.
When I
Yeah.
smell the perfume,
Yeah. I couldn't
that's
do
how
it.
she smelled
Yeah.
all
Okay.
the time.
Yes.
And then one day I had went into like the dining room and I kept smelling the perfume. and then whatever, and it was a candle. I told my husband to get rid of the candle because it smells like the white diamond perfume, and it smells like my mother is in there.
Right.
And so he had to get rid of it.
You can't
So
move
it
on.
didn't make me feel sad or angry or anything like that. But you know, it doesn't. It made me want her to be there, but
Yeah,
she wasn't
yeah,
there. It
yeah.
was a candle.
Yeah.
Though it was a candle, and so he got
Right.
rid of that. And so, but it doesn't bother me now. Like if I smell that perfume now, because it's been like I said, it's been so long. But I think those celebrations helped us.
It did.
Yeah, because
it
if
did.
it wasn't for those celebrations, like even when we started off, just the two of us, just me and my sister Gloria, when we started off with the celebrations, and then it evolved each year.
Yeah, and
so
they
I
looking
think-
forward to it. When we
Yeah.
gonna have Mama's thing? Where's it gonna be at?
Yeah, and I just
They
think,
excited.
yeah, and then they said, well, I want to have it at my house. I'm like, okay, well, that's good. You have it at your house. You can just, take care of everything.
Yeah,
And that's
'cause
fine.
it's expensive.
Yeah, but still, it's, yeah.
But it's so much fun.
It
Yeah.
is. Yep, so just, I lost my train of thought.
It's just-
Yeah, well, anyway, just, I guess the celebrations, that's what I'm trying to
Yes,
say.
you're right.
Yeah, the celebration is, if we didn't start that early on, I don't even know how we would be
Yeah, you're right.
now.
Yeah, we were just thinking it's supposed to be sad, and
Yeah, because
and she
it
helped
wasn't
us. It's almost like she helped us with it. Yeah, y'all
exactly.
just be happy.
Yes, so because
you
it
know.
wasn't just her that passed,
Like
and
that.
then we had my brothers that
Yeah,
passed after
right.
her.
Right.
So
Right.
we were able to
Do
handle
things in
other
their memories.
situations. We were able to handle other situations too.
Yeah.
And when she was like here physically, we didn't have her a party. She didn't want a party. So now we do what we want to do. You know, and she's looking
Yeah,
like
but we would
they
have
still
her.
arguing over me.
Yeah, but we would have to have her we
She
would
like
have to
all
have
that.
her a surprise party. We did that. We had a surprise party, or just like we had family gatherings. And
Yeah,
she
we
would-
had gatherings,
She,
yeah.
and she would come.
Yeah.
She would come to those, but like I said, she would just sit and observe everybody.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
While everybody's fight over her, kiss her. and
Because what
hug
make
her
it so
and all that.
bad, when we had gatherings, everybody would be there because it was her gathering. So this is why her birthday is so special, because they know it's her birthday and they're coming, just like they was, coming to the.
Family events.
Yeah.
You know that. If
If
she was
anybody
there-
else have something,
Yeah.
we used to didn't participate. It was just mom. So now we like to participate with each other.
Right.
Like that.
Yeah.
She keeping us together.
So I guess it would be safe to say then that even though you all have gotten to the celebration part of it, you still went through that grieving process, as most people do.
Talking to
Only-
each other.
Yes,
Yeah.
only you didn't sit in it.
No, we didn't sit in it, but the
yes.
way that you mention things, it does recall certain
Yeah.
things, and that was a grieving
Yeah.
process.
And that can help
Yeah.
the other people that was weaker when they come to the celebration. They didn't have to sit at home and be crying all day.
Right.
They come and be laughing and playing with us.
Yeah.
Right.
And talk about how much good fun they had, and then
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
that's how we do what she would want us to do. That's how she wanted.
Because here we are, my mother passed in 76, and it's three of us. My sister, she lives here. We live in the same subdivision. My brother lives in Georgia, and yet we do not acknowledge each other on my mother's birthday.
We call
I
and tell
put it
each
out
other.
there.
We
Yeah,
sure
we call
do.
and tell each other happy,
Happy birthday on that day.
Yeah.
Yeah, we tell each other happy birthday, not
Yeah.
happy birthday to her. We say, well, happy birthday, and it's because it's her birthday, and
Yeah.
we know that she is in each one of us.
Right,
Yeah.
and then we know that we are getting ready for the celebration.
Right.
Yeah, and so what do you all plan to do about it?
Well, we plan to do something about it. On Thanksgiving, my
That
niece
is
wants to bring up something.
fantastic.
Yes, about
Because it's never too
moving
late.
that family unit
Yeah.
to because you figure, like I said, my nieces never knew her. They did know my father because he only passed like 3 years ago, maybe 4. I told you I blocked those dates
Yeah.
out, but it was So we're gonna do something, and it's gonna have to be like a combined thing
That's good.
because
Yeah,
none
because
of us.
everybody has their own relationship
Yeah.
with your mother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so just like it was some things that she talked about, I didn't know. And maybe some
Yeah,
things-
because of the gap.
Yeah, yeah, but it's
Yeah.
everybody has their own relationship. Even now, if you talk to each one of my brothers and my other sister, if you talk to each person, everybody had their own story,
Yeah.
their own relationship with
Right.
my mother.
Mhm.
So
Right.
this is just from our point of view.
Right.
Yes.
But they had their own, and so you all are
It'll
going
be
to
a
have your
big
same.
book.
Yes.
Yeah, you all are going to have your own point of view of your mom,
Right.
and that's going to be really nice for
Right.
them to hear about her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
So it's something that I think hopefully people can get past and
Yeah, just-
start thinking of the better times.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like you say, not all families, may want to celebrate. We would have, if we would have had the probably, I don't know whether you want to call it the psychological or somebody to talk to. My mother died, we buried her 2 weeks before Thanksgiving.
Oh.
So on Thanksgiving, my father had us dinners where we were supposed to go with a friend of his house, and we kind of all refused.
Yeah, of course.
I went with my friends,
I want
my childhood
mama
friends,
nothing.
right? And I went, and my brothers went to my aunt's house, and my sister went with her boyfriend's family. So we were all split in different ways.
Yeah, y'all wasn't together like when
Nope.
she was here. Okay.
Because nobody wanted to go where, it's
Sometimes you
that's
can't.
that avoidance
Yeah,
thing and
yeah.
trying
Yeah.
to,
Because she wasn't there.
yeah.
So you felt that she wasn't there, so you
Right.
all wanted to separate and
Yep.
separate from the situation. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
You're
amazing.
going to get away from
Yeah.
the pain. That's
Yeah.
what you're
Right.
escaping pain.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
we
but
did.
we all get together so that we can. 'Cause
We
we
don't
look
have
like
the
her.
pain.
We
Yeah.
look like her. We act like her. We talk like her. My brother that passed in July, it's like his same vocal cord, same vocal cords.
When he answered the phone,
Yeah, like
is this
when-
mama still here with
Yeah,
that voice?
yeah, yeah. If you could hear her voice in his voice, and when
Yeah.
my oldest sister, when she laughed, I can hear her voice.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, when she laughs.
That's like I told you my father has one brother left. When he came to a funeral of a cousin, my father had already passed, and he spoke about that cousin, and while he was standing up there, I thought I was looking at my father.
Wow.
I was like,
deep.
oh, wow.
Yeah,
And
it'd be a good
way he
thing.
talked. Yeah.
It
You
is.
can hold on to that, you know.
Yep, that is good. That is
Yeah.
good. Yeah, and then send her some balloons.
Yeah. So I just want to read this briefly, this study that I read talking about the grief. It says there's no amount of data that can capture how distinctly painful and powerful grief is. That said, there are a number of psychological and brain imaging studies that demonstrate the magnitude of the loss. And they go on to talk about the cortex, that's in our brain, and how things make us, talking about that smoke, make us feel or think. These regions are involved in storing memories and dwelling on the past, but they also involve in regulating sleep and appetite. In the short term, neurology assures us that loss will trigger physical distress. In the long term, grief puts the entire body at risk. A handful of studies have found links between unresolved grief and hypertension, cardiac events, immune disorders, and even cancer. It is unclear why grief would trigger such dire physical conditions, but one theory is that it perpetually activates systematic nervous system, that flight or fight, and can cause long-term genetic changes. That was deep when I read that
Because you disconnect.
I had
everything.
experienced that, yes. And so they also talk about death when you talk about knowing that a person or parent is going to die. A lot of times in advance when you know that there's still trauma to the body because you can't accept it. And even if it's unexpected, there's trauma, like with my brother. I mean, I could picture him clear as day, and it was almost as if he was sent there for me to see him the last time. You know,
Because
he
you wrote out the bills for him.
yeah, I wrote his bills out. He sat there at my table in good spirits. He was going on about his business. My daughter had some regrets because she said she blew him off. And he wanted to say, hey, let's say, hey, I'm going to time I got to go, you know, I'm going to play with my friends. And she was like, wow, I didn't even stop that day to, you know, give him 5 minutes.
Yeah, but she didn't know.
Right. I mean, it was like none of us knew.
Right.
So it was real interesting to read that article, and it was a science and psychology article that was just recently written on the psychology of death. So I want to thank you both for sharing your stories and opening up. It's real interesting, and hopefully it will help someone this holiday season, as a lot of people, you know, that are not going to be happy because of the holidays.
Just like you say, they hold on to that anger.
Yeah.
They have to understand this is God's world, and He take us when He get ready. My mother taught me that. Snap out of whatever, because my father passed. I was like that. She say, okay, we all belong to the Lord, and we all gonna leave. So you,
Every last one of us.
if you come, you going.
Yep.
Yeah.
Every
You
last
come,
one
you
of
are
us.
going.
We have a
Flowers,
time.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
We just don't know the
Yeah,
date.
be ready, be ye ready.
That's right.
Yeah.
Be
So if your
ready.
person is worth celebrating,
Yeah,
then you should celebrate them.
yeah,
That's right.
and be good to the person.
Yeah,
You
just
know
be
why
good- a
they
good
here, so they
person.
can know.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they're a good person, but try to, you know, be good yourself, and
Yeah. Yeah.
you know,
So any final thoughts, either one
it
of
was
you?
fine.
Yeah, well, my only final thought, just like I said, just if your person is good, I mean, even if you can just pull good things.
Something out.
Yeah, pull out. Yeah, because there are several good things.
Yeah.
Even though we don't necessarily celebrate my father, it is some things that he did that kept us, you know, from a lot
Yeah.
of things.
Yeah.
And so those things can be worth celebrating, you know, but we just, celebrate my mother every year. We just celebrate her birthday every year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when
She didn't work, and she was like our human protector. She didn't take a job, and
well,
that means
she had a job.
Oh,
yeah, that was a job.
That was a job.
household
I
with
say that all the
nine-
time. That was a job.
That was
job.
her job.
That
I
was
tell
her
you,
job.
it was.
Yeah, that was
Oh
her
my
job.
God.
So coming from a large family of 9, I have 1. My sister had 2. My brother has 1, and the other brother was killed, had none. Did you see yourselves having large family, or was that something that you were like, oh no, I couldn't
I have
handle?
one son.
Yeah, and I never.
I was chosen to have one son.
Right, and
Okay.
I never had
She
any
was
children.
chosen to
and
have
I-
none.
Yeah, I didn't want. I just didn't want any children.
Okay.
But my sister Barbara, if all of her children had lived, because she had some miscarriages,
Okay.
she
Yeah,
would have had.
and
She would have had
Crib
9.
death.
Yeah, she would have had 9. Yeah, I told her about the twins.
Okay.
Ooh, she would have had 9.
She would have had.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she
if
the
they-
baby. She was the baby maker.
Yeah, like if
Wow.
they had all lived.
Wow.
Yeah, but
Yes.
everybody else have. They all Jerry, the boys, they all have children,
Okay.
and then the children.
Who has the most?
Who has the most? It is
I don't know.
Barbara, right?
Her? Okay.
Yeah, because she has 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
And some of the
Yeah, 'cause-
brothers, you really don't know
Oh,
how
well,
they
yeah.
got, because they.
We don't
Yeah, I
know.
understand. But it's like you would think that when people come from large families, they're like,
Especially back at that time.
yes,
Oh
at
my
that
God,
time,
they just never said no. I guess. They
Yes.
never said they had a headache.
Well, I think also, it was birth
They
control.
said no birth
too.
control.
Right.
Girl.
That's what happened. The
Yeah.
doctor told my mother don't have any more children.
Yeah.
Like after that, the 6th child,
Mm-hmm.
and then the birth control broke, and
Okay.
that's where I came from.
Okay.
Yeah, but she was meant to have me though.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely.
So I can sit here
Yeah.
and tell everybody to
Yeah.
How
celebrate.
great thou art.
Yeah, to sit here and tell everybody
Yeah.
to celebrate their family.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. I
That's
had
right. You don't have to
considered
let them go. Just let them go. No, don't let them go.
I'd like to thank Colette and Gloria for sharing their amazing story
on the celebration and life of their mother. And if you're suffering during the holiday seasons because of the loss of a loved one, do know that in time you'll be able to celebrate their life. Thank you.